Well, hello, writers. Welcome to episode number 362 of How Do You Write? I'm Rachael Herron, and I am absolutely thrilled that you are here today as I'm talking to Nikki Payne, who was a 100% delightful dose of awesomeness. We talk about making a slide deck of awesomeness to remind you how incredible you are as a writer. We also talk about using fight scenes to write sex scenes. And also, she's a cultural anthropologist, which is just the coolest thing ever. So that is coming up in the interview section. Please stick around for that. What has been going on around here? Well, I finally have the how to publish in today's market, traditional versus self-publishing course live. It is live, y'all. I have worked on this for months. I put everything that I know into it, and it's just been a real labor of love and time. And I'm so excited that it is out there in the world as of today, as I'm recording this. So today, because this is my podcast and I get to do what I want on it, I'm going to give it a little ad read because it might honestly be something that would be helpful for you. So here you go. How to publish in today's market, traditional versus self-publishing. Do you desperately want to get your book published, but don't know where to start? Or are you still writing your book, but wondering how you will get it into readers' hands when it's done? As you know, I am a longtime publishing veteran and an expert in both traditional and self-publishing, and I'll help you chart your best course forward so that you avoid my many mistakes and achieve success. Do you want to aim toward a traditional New York publishing deal, or are you drawn to publishing independently? In this course, which I've taught at UC Berkeley and Stanford, as well as retreats and conferences around the world, you will learn what you need to know about going either route so that you can make your best informed decision regarding your writing career and learn what's fact and what's fiction in today's ever-changing publishing landscape. You will get my magic query letter formula and learn how to write a compelling synopsis. You'll learn what you'll need to work with editors and what the difference is between a good cover and a lousy one. You'll learn what parts of marketing are essential and what parts you can let go. Find out about distribution and hear the real nitty-gritty about what authors actually make money-wise. You can go to rachelherron.com/publish to watch a free preview module on myths and mindset. And in that module, I talk about, can someone with no connections still get a traditional publishing deal? Will self-publishing a book kill your chances at a traditional deal later? Which will make you more money, self or traditional publishing? So that is free to go watch. That's the little video, Myths and Mindset. You can find that at rachelherron.com/publish. And in this class, you're going to figure out exactly what you need. No matter which track you decide to take toward publishing your book, you will complete this course prepared and ready for publishing success. The course, like I said, is at rachelherron.com/publish. But hey, all of my patrons get 15% off. So if you would like that discount, go to patreon.com/Rachel first before you grab it. Okay, that was a long ad read, but I'm really excited about it. I hope you can hear that in my voice. This is a course I am really proud of because there is a lot of hard-won knowledge that has not been easy to come by because I have done things wrong and awkwardly and not perfectly. And I know what's going on right now today. Oh, the other thing I didn't say in the ad read is that this is an evergreen course. And because it is not a live course, there's no live component teaching. It's all given to you in the course in the form of videos and PDFs. Because of that, I will be able to update all of the modules when they need to be. So when you buy the course, as things change, the course will stay relevant and current. And that is really exciting to me and really important to me too. So all of the details are over at rachelherron.com/publish. There's a 7-day money back guarantee. Like I said, you can get that discount by becoming a patron at any level. And I would love to have you join and learn. So that is up there. And now I'm going to stop talking about it and talk about the writer who is here with us today. By day, Nikki Payne is a curious tech anthropologist asking the right questions to deliver better digital services. By night, she dreams of ways to subvert canon literature. She's a member of Smut U, a premium feminist writing collective, and is a cat lady with no cats. Pride and Protest from Berkley Penguin is her debut novel. Y'all, you're going to love this conversation. Please enjoy. Please get some of your own writing done and then come tell me about it. I wish you very happy writing. And here we go with the interview. Well, I could not be more pleased to welcome you to the show today. Will you please share your name and pronouns with us?
My name is Nikki Payne. My pronouns are she and her.
And we are already bonding. So this is going to be a fantastic episode. I'm so excited to talk about writing. Your new book is Pride and Protest, and it's your debut, if I am.
It's my first book, baby.
And is it out yet? Is it out in the world
It's
yet?
out. It came out in November.
Okay. How did it feel?
I feel like I was being perceived and everyone would see how twisted I was. That scene with the thing, what were you thinking?
Valid fear.
It was a real fear. And then when it came out, I just released it. I had to do that Zen thing where you try to, detach from this thing that you put out in the world.
How did you do it?
Otherwise you go crazy.
How did you actually do that?
I stayed, okay, number one, and tried to own both like what I knew the book could have done better and what I knew the book did really well. And it just kept me really grounded.
Yeah, I think staying grounded is one of the hardest things to do as a writer, because as writers, we are born to have flights of fancy and to always have the biggest dreams. So yes, beautiful. Can you share your writing process with us? When and where and how does it all get done? Because you're a busy person.
Oh, yes. When it comes to my writing process, to me, it's all about finding the right vibe. I really love music, so I try to find songs that remind me of a scene or a certain character's personality to get me into the zone. And I try to write every day, even if it's just a little bit. But I love music as part of my process. And I love using music to like kind of jump off and think about my characters.
How do you find the music? Do you like seed a song and then work around it? Or are you hearing songs and you say, oh, that goes in and it goes into the playlist?
Yes. So I'll hear a song and like I was on this like huge George Strait kick and I was listening to the song Marina Del Rey and I'm just like, you know what? This is them, And I just started to think about that because I'm writing the scene where it's the resolution and they're like kind of getting together and I kind of wanted this Marina Del Rey vibe, in a hidden beach under a golden sun. She spread a blanket that we let. Yeah. So it's like one of those, I use music a lot to start my writing process and to enrich it.
And you have words going. You can have the songs with words. That doesn't bother the writing process.
No, not to me. No, not to me. Absolutely not.
I never think it is bothering my writing process. And then I don't understand the sentences I wrote because half of the words are actually the words that were in the song that I accidentally typed. Instead of apple, I typed, anguish, if that's what they're saying.
You're just like typing in Tupac lyrics.
It doesn't, it does not. I mean, that could work, but it doesn't work. So yeah. So I envy people who can have the lyrics going at the same time. Do you ever do that thing that I do sometimes where I will get in the zone with the song and I'll just put it on repeat and listen to it for 400 times?
Oh, my children know of this horror. Please, Mom, stop. Please, I can't hear this one song over and over again. Do you want to know what that song is right now on the rotation?
Yes.
Hold on to your hat because I'm going to be controversial here. Okay. Grease 2, Michelle Pfeiffer, Cool Rider, Unmatched.
That is not what I expected. And your kids do not even know what to do with you.
They're just like, please stop. We don't want to know about a Cool Rider anymore.
but it works. When you find the song that unlocks the brain, you stick into it. That is amazing. And it's so funny too, because it's usually like the kids who are like, can you please stop playing that song? But it's you, it's the mom.
Yeah.
Perfect.
No, the kids are begging me to stop.
And do you do
Absolutely.
most of your writing at home, or do you have an office space? Do you like quiet apart from the music? Do you not?
I do most of my writing in my office space and sometimes on the couch, but I do most of my writing at night because like the kids are asleep and like I'm just thinking about things. And one of like, it's going to sound weird, and that's perhaps why I like the music playing is like I'll either have like Star Trek playing in the background, like the Next Generation Star Trek, just in case, you want to.
I assumed.
Thank you. I actually enjoy having something to drown out. I don't know why it helps me zero in, but the music, or if it's Star Trek, or if it's kids kind of running around in the background, it helps me go, that's not important, only this is. And it's almost like a jolt of coffee. I don't know how to explain it, but it makes me hyper focused.
Thank you for explaining it so clearly. I have always wondered about that. I spent too long dispatching fire engines before I went full-time writing, but I was always listening for things and everything was always an emergency. So now like if the microwave dings, I'm like, what was that? I got it. No, the house is burning down. So I'm the opposite, but I do have to drown things out. So I use the white noise super loud, and that allows me to do the focus. But yes, Star Trek Next Generation. Perfect. All right. What is your biggest challenge when it comes to writing?
First of all, pick a number. Okay.
Writing. Yes, writing.
Writing is my biggest challenge as a writer. I think for me as a writer and as an author, that professional side of writing, it's kind of knowing what matters and what doesn't, right? What should we do on social media? How hard should we be hustling? How should we How should we be talking about something? How should we be focusing on writing and letting the publisher do that type of work? It's so hard for me to calibrate how much to put into something, or how much of something, if something comes out and it's a huge flop, and then they'll say like, well, you really should have spoken with booksellers. And I'm just like, well, it's me. Once again, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me.
And in your heart that you're not, because if you'd spoken to all the booksellers, you would have made 12 more sales. No, there's no predicting this industry. So I always, I love it when that thing comes back to us. But yes, knowing what to focus on. I've got my pen in my hand because I'm making notes on that. How have you decided what to focus on?
For me, I've been trying to focus on what is bringing back like dividends, and that's not like financial, just kind of joy. So I would say engaging with booksellers has been super exciting because they're excited. They're always having events, and they're like, hey, do you want to do this like really cool thing? And I'm like, yeah, let's hang out, And
are you talking in person or on Zoom?
In person,
nice.
in the DC area. There's so many really cool bookstores in DC. East City Books, just like Loyalty, Park Books, Mahogany Books, and they're like they do really cool events. And for me, it's given me the opportunity to meet my reader, and I'm like constantly pretty surprised at what that means, like who my readers are. You have this sense of who you're writing for. And then when you meet them at an event, you're just so pleasantly surprised at who they are. So I would say building those relationships with booksellers, Barnes and Noble, and being able to meet readers, that's honestly paid off the most for me.
That is gorgeous. And I love the way you're like glowing when you're talking about it too. I can tell you really enjoy it.
I love that. I really do.
Oh, what is your biggest joy when it comes to writing? Is it related to that or different?
Oh, my biggest joy when it comes to writing is, I think of sometimes an entire book will start off with a scene that I was just obsessed with writing, and kind of powering out from that scene. But my biggest joy is when I'm able to execute as close as possible to that kernel of an idea that was in my head. And even if like the whole book is kind of meh, like if I got that scene off, I'm just like, kids, She did it. Everyone gather around, you there. What day is it?
Like, I did it. I did it.
I did it.
Where does that saying tend to be in the book? Do you start, is it more the start of a book or the ending scene of the book or the dark moment, or?
That is really, really varied. It's really varied. For Pride and Protest, I wanted to write their meet ugly so bad. Like, I just couldn't wait. But I knew that I had to get to them, like introducing them as people before I got to the scene that they meet, because it's famously a retelling of Pride and Prejudice. And I wanted to put my spin on, this incredibly awkward ass meeting, you know what I mean? And how it could go wrong. And I was so excited to write that.
Oh, that is so very, very cool. All right. Can you share a craft tip of any kind with the writers listening?
Craft tip. I have many because I just kind of keep them in a little folder. I would say never be afraid to experiment and like take risks with like your genre, like writing and reading, particularly in a different genre or from a completely different character's point of view, has shocked me. Like, sometimes I'm writing a scene and I can't get the vibes right, and it will shock you to just stop that scene and write quickly, like in the cat's point of view, or like the point of view of like the cabinet the TV that they're watching.
I love that.
So weird, because they're seeing something or experiencing something from a completely different perspective. And then you can throw all that away and write the scene that you want to write. I've also been able to get like a ton of inspiration from other genres. For example, when I was nervous about writing like sex scenes that felt like embodied, one of the ways that I learned how to do that very early was actually from fight scenes and thrillers. Right? It's so visceral, right? And they're like reacting to the touches and they're falling back and like things are happening and it's just so physical. And you're just like, this guy's getting his ass beat, and you feel it. And I want it to be as evocative as that, for it to feel like visceral and like these people are touching,
Yes.
And I wanted that. And so like, I would say like the big craft tip for me is just like reading and writing outside of your genre. Writing outside of your character's POV will always shock you and surprise you.
That concept is blowing my mind, the whole looking at the thriller fight scenes, because it is exactly that. It's touch and reaction. And it's high stakes, just like we want sex scenes to be. They have to matter. They can't just be for sex. They have to be moving something, changing something that can never go back to being the way it was, which is what we're doing in fight scenes and thrillers.
No, that's exactly it, right? When the hero is down and the big boss is just like pummeling them, you know that after that, there's a turning point or something has to happen where this guy gets up this one last time, and he's all bloodied and, things are about to change, but it's after that contact, that physical moment,
I have goosebumps all over. That is something I have never thought of, and it may have changed things for me. Thank you so much for sharing that. Also, I just am obsessed now with the idea of writing from the cabinet's point of view, because that reminds us that the point of view, there's not a static point of view ever anywhere. And when I was first starting writing, a point of view is a construct, just like gender, just like anything else. Everything depends on who is seeing, who is witnessing, who is hearing, and what their background is. In the cabinet is going to have a point of view that the cat doesn't have, that the dog doesn't have, that the pen on the table doesn't have.
Yes.
And that's so exciting.
And sometimes it's not an entire scene. Sometimes it's a paragraph, 3 lines, and you're just like, oh, wow, they're not even facing each other. Like, from the cabinet's point of view, you know what I mean? They started off starting to get coffee and they stopped, or like just something that, a cabinet would notice,
You are striking me as a very playful writer. Is that something that comes naturally to you, or is that something you have to work at?
That is, it's very much giving baby of the family energy. I am the youngest, and I have always been a kind of playful, here are the rules. Let's see what they look like this way. I always like to play with the rules, bend the rules, see what I could kind of get away with within confines. I think anyone who who's writing a retelling is a little bit of a trickster, you know? Um,
Yes.
so yeah, I absolutely playful and I love it.
The baby. See, I'm the eldest. So I'm always about, got to do it right. Don't
Yeah.
get in trouble. And I'm always
Yeah.
having to remind myself to play. But my little sister is always like, screw it. Just do what you want.
We're doing it live. Exactly.
Let's go.
Let's go.
All right. So what
No,
is
this is exactly what my oldest sister said. She's just like, well, we have to like kind of figure out
yes.
how to do it within. And I was like, why? Like, why do we have to do that? And she's just like, you grew up differently.
I recently spent 1 week trying to figure out the best way to paint my office. And I was stressed about it. Stress. It's been 15 years since I painted anything. And my wife is like, just get the paintbrush out and start painting. You can't break it. I'm like, I can't. So to watch that energy is really, really beautiful. And then I just painted and it was fine. What is the kindest thing that anyone's ever done for you in your writing career?
Oh, so many. There's so many things. I
I love
think the
asking
kindest
this.
thing anyone has ever done for me in my writing career is just, oh, like, I don't know, just believing in me and my work. From my agent to like the folks at Berkley to my critique partners, like those little notes in the top corner of my manuscript saying, I love this, so funny, or keep going. Like someone who thought that the work was worth continuing. It's just such a kind thing for someone to say, I believe in this. You should take this further, right?
It means
Keep going,
everything.
keep going. Yeah, it's just such a nice initial moment for someone to say, like, hey, I this brought me joy. I wish you well. And I don't know. I feel like sometimes it's easy for us to read work and read things and think like, oh, this got here, or this is really this this is kind of okay and it's gotten all these awards, or you know how there's ways that we can be kind of small about what we're reading, and sometimes it's easy to be small about what we're reading even if we enjoyed it on some visceral level. But just like reading something with generosity the way that people have read my book is just it's incredibly kind. You know, it really is.
What is the kindest thing you've ever done for yourself as a writer?
Oh, I need to work on this a little better. I One of the kindest things that I've done for myself as a writer is this is okay. Again, this is just between me, you, and the walls here.
I love the wind up here. I can't wait.
I built this slide deck, okay, and I call this my Kanye deck. And in this Kanye deck, I mean, you know, he's struggling. He's a problematic individual. However, the enormous amount of ego is like still stands. So like building this deck of like CP reactions or good reviews that someone has sent to me, or like any type of art or something that someone has made. And I built a deck, and it's
That
just
is
what I
so
call it
smart.
Kanye deck. And sometimes when I'm writing something and the scene is terrible, or I get some review that just says like, what was she even thinking? Why would you touch a classic? I hate it, you know? And sometimes just having that deck there, you don't even have to like scroll through it, but just having a physical artifact of like reminding yourself that your work can bring joy, has brought joy to people, has been really helpful to me. And I think about that when I'm writing something and something feels really difficult. You know, like you're like a veteran, but like when you're writing your debut and then like right when you're writing book 2, like there's nothing to me more horrifying. Maybe it'll be book 3, who knows? But there's nothing more horrifying than like being about to release your book 2 after your book 1, and you're just like, oh, you know, like, you know, will you love me still? You know,
Yes.
and yeah, so like building out that little deck, it's just like these tiny little reminders that that I can do it, and I've been successful in like bringing someone joy.
You are incredibly delightful to my brain. Like it's just like I feel like my brain has bubbles moving through it, because the slide deck is such a genius idea. I have something I call the mash notes. I don't even know why we used to call it mash notes, but like, back in the 20s and 30s, the last 20s and 30s, people talked about mash notes. There were love notes. And I have mash notes in my email, and I've been keeping them since probably 2008 or something, 2000, maybe 2003. But whenever anyone would say anything nice about my writing, I would, really nice, not like light and nice, but like goosebumps nice, I would throw it into this file, and I have saved them for the rainy day of the worst days. And I've never actually pulled it out. Sometimes I'll dip into it and then I'll feel too weird. But I think actually pulling the quotes out and putting them into Canva and making a graphic and putting it in the slide deck so you can just flip through, that is so good. That is so good. We need that.
And it does work. It pulls you out of like, I'll never pull this off. I can't execute this. I have to change course. Or even if you have, you realize that you did that in the other book and look at what it did.
That makes me so happy. Also, I might want to include some of my favorite 1-stars, because I don't read my reviews, but every once in a while I'll dip into my 1-stars because they're hilarious.
Oh,
and they make me laugh so hard. They are gold. They're gold. They're not gold the very first time you get one, but yeah, but after you get a bunch of them, you're like, and you have to have that friend that you send the 1-stars back and forth to, know, and putting a couple of those in the slide deck would work too, just to laugh.
Yeah.
To remind you.
My dream 1-star is?
Tell me.
I want someone to say like, this is way too sexy. Like, put it away. Too much spite, too much detail. Gross.
I have had those reviews, and I swear it drives sales. It's just,
oh God. It's my dream. It's my absolute dream.
I love the 1-stars that say, the cover came bent, terrible delivery. I'm like, come on.
What is that? Oh my God.
That is such a gorgeous and generous and kind thing to tell us about. Thank you for that. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to let you know how it goes. That is a great idea. What's the best book that you've read recently, and why did you love it?
Oh, the best book that I've read recently is this book called The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones.
Okay.
I loved it. It's because it's like the voice just like takes you by the shoulders, and it's just like, listen, sit down, bitch. And you're just like sitting there, and it just won't let you go. And I'm a cultural anthropologist by trade, and the book is infused with so much like Native American folklore. And it's really just like catnip for an anthropologist. And it's horror and gorgeous and gripping and vibrant. And I loved it. I stayed up.
You're giving me all the catnip words, because in my other life, the road less traveled was cultural anthropology. That was what I wanted to do. That's what I mean. I did it in college. I did as much as I could at the little college I went to, and just
an anthropologist always knows. Let me tell you, like, there is this bent, there is this way of looking at the world that I think anyone who's interested in anthropology like already has. Like, they're always like that person that's just a little outside and can
wanting to watch, wanting to talk about it, wanting to glory in it, wanting to laugh at it sometimes, and wanting to, all of it, wanting to honor it.
Yeah. There's magic there. And that's like part of the reason why like a lot of my books are about this kind of multicultural interchange, like individuals coming from wildly different cultures and having to interact. Like, the anthropologist in me will never get tired of that moment of like the encounter, the cultural encounter, where someone has to, kind of see themselves differently. In my book coming out, in Sex, Lies, and Sensibility, the heroine is an African. It's
great name. Great title.
Fantastic title. It's a Sense and Sensibilities remake, and the heroine is a Black woman, and the hero is a Native American man. And she comes into this land that she has, and she's flying to Maine, her and her sister. And she's like, here, look, it's my land. And the Native American like park ranger who was there was just like, we're doing this.
Would you like to talk about that?
Exactly. And like, as this Black woman, she has to like actually kind of deal with, she's like, moi? Me? A colonizer? So it's like this this moment that I just love to play with. And again, like always infusing my like anthropological lens into romance and like having these people kind of interact and ultimately fall in love.
And when does that one come out? November again?
That is November. It's
Yeah.
it's November again, November 23,
Yeah.
November 21st, 23.
Oh, that's so exciting. Will you tell us a little bit now about Pride and Protest?
Ooh, okay. Pride and Protest. This is my Pride and Prejudice retelling. So if you just like, if you've watched Pride and Prejudice and like that hand flex is like worked through your brain like 100 times,
Yes.
this is your book. But even if it hasn't, even if I've read so many people who are just like, one of my favorite, speaking of Goodreads quotes, one of my favorite Goodreads quotes about Pride and Protest was, I didn't give a blank about about Jane Austen. Now I do. And like that was the
wow.
entire thing. Like people who'd never even heard of it. So I'm gonna say whether you've heard of Pride and Prejudice or not, it is essentially about two people who start off thinking very wrong about each other. It's enemies to lovers. It's the OG enemies to lovers. Mm-hmm. And Lisa is the a DJ in DC. She's the only DJ who gives a jam. And she's going to protest this huge event. And she's going to show these gentrifiers, like kind of what she's made of. And she's like dragging out her signs and she's about to do this protest. And who does she bump into? She turns around and she sees this Asian male, and she doesn't code him as being the CEO. She codes him as being a part of her community. So she's just spills all of her entire beings, you know, about what she's going to do. And of course, he's the CEO. And so they meet terribly. And they spend the entire book learning about themselves and learning about each other. And ultimately, which I find is like the greatest thing about both Jane Austen and like the potential for this book, is that they were able to like really lovingly change their minds about each other. And like through the chemistry that they have, through the interactions that they have, they're just able to be bold enough to say, like, I was wrong about this and you, and I wanna be right with you, you know?
Oh,
yeah.
It's gorgeous. That's gorgeous and perfect. The thing I really love about enemies to lovers, I heard somebody say this recently, and it kind of codified everything for me, that why I love enemies to lovers so much is because that they start out as equals. There's no power dynamic or problem in there, which, you know, can be fun to play with too. But enemies to lovers means we are both right and we are both correct, and we're not going to move. Yeah. And then they move and they shift and they grow.
Move. And then they move, right? I mean, to me, it's like getting them, even if you absolutely know that an enemies to lovers romance is going to end in a certain way, the way that they get there is the journey. That's the journey. That's the thing that I love about Pride and Protest. The journey was fun, was enriching, you know?
Oh. Where can we find you online?
Where can you find me? You can find me on my website, Nikki Payne Books. My newsletter is hilarious, or so they say.
I'm going to go sign up for it immediately.
It's ridiculous. I'm also on Instagram, Nikki Payne Books as well, and on TikTok, Nikki Payne Romance. I should warn everyone that my Instagram and TikTok, they're just screen fan cast thirst traps. Like, just like, please don't expect anything serious. I'm just thirst trapping my characters. And I've gotten so many followers just posting thirst traps. So there, that's the secret, folks. That's how you get followers as a writer. Just fan cast.
There is nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Nikki, it has been an absolute delight to talk to you. Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.